Hey guys, welcome back to Sparkman Homestead. My name is Krista and we are finally going to be canning up our apple pie filling. I have had this box of apples now for at least a couple of weeks and they're still in okay condition. They were a little rough to begin with, but they're starting to get a little soft. And I think this box, because it is a box of seconds, I think it is just a mix of all different types of apples. So I'm not even sure what kind it really is even a mix of. I think there's like some Jonathan Gold, some Galas in here, just a variety of them. So I'm looking, oh, it's over here. I'm looking for my canning book. This is definitely one thing that I love to have on the pantry shelf. I make more than just apple pie with it. I make like little hand pies with it. You can also use this in like a pancake. It's just a really, really delicious recipe. So the cookbook we are going to use today is this one, and the recipe I'm going to be using is on page 136. I am so excited this year. My mom gifted me this last year for Christmas. She is a thrifter like I am, and we love going to those little church thrift stores. They have the best deal in them. I mean, I also like going to Goodwill. Honestly, I find that Goodwill is pretty overpriced. Those little tiny hidden thrift stores, like the church ones, are the best ones to go to. So anyways, she found me this at a thrift store last year. We both love to gift each other things that we find at the thrift store. That's just kind of our style. And I've actually started to implement that with my kids as well, especially my daughter, just because she's in her 20s. So she appreciates the homemade gifts and the gifts that are kind of saved from the landfill. So we're gonna use this. Thanks, Mom. I'm so excited to use this on today's project. So we have a whole, I think this is a half bushel, maybe it's a bushel of apples to get peeled and cored up. This recipe calls for, how many apples do we need here? It calls for 6 quarts of pie type apples. So this specifies to use like a Granny Smith, Gravenstein, Jonah Gold, Jonathan, or Pippin. So like I said, I think these are actually Galas and potentially Jonathans in here. So we're just gonna use this stuff because this only cost me $12. So this is gonna be perfect. So we need 6 quarts of them. So each quart is 4 cups. So we need to get 24 cups of peeled apples. Well, what does it say? Peel, cored, and slice. I think this actually just says apple peeler. So I know some of them peel the apples and slice them. So I guess we'll do the one and see if it does both of them first. Oh, no, probably doesn't because it comes with this in it. It comes with the little, you just put the apple down and it cuts it for you. So those are pretty big slices, so I probably won't use this. Okay, let's get our new toy out. What I'm gonna do actually before we even get started peeling these apples is I have a really, really big stainless, well, not really big, I have a big stainless steel bowl here. I'm gonna fill it with some cold water and some lemon juice, and this is gonna keep the apples from going brown. I believe Ball actually sells a product called Fruit Fresh, and you can use that and put it in your water and it will keep them from going brown. It's just gonna take us a while to peel this box, and I don't want all of the apples to go bad. So let's get this filled first. The other thing that I have prepped ahead of time is I have my water bath canner here and I have my quart size jars in here. We're gonna use wide mouth quart size jars. I like to use wide mouth whenever I'm canning anything that's kind of chunky. So like these tomato slices are gonna be pretty chunky to get in, and I don't wanna have to try to worry about squeezing them through like a regular mouth mason jar. So we are going to use some wide mouth ones. The recipe that we are following says that you can do either pints or quarts, but I find when I make a pie, I actually have to use 2 quarts of the pie filling because I really like to have my pie like super, super filled with filling. So I'm going to do them in quart size jars. We may even have to get out our countertop canner as well. Actually, we can't use the countertop one because you can't water bath quarts in it. It doesn't have enough room for you to have 1 inch of water on top. So actually, you know what though? We can get our pressure canner out and actually use that as a water bath canner as well. So we're gonna have a couple of different options if we need more jars than 7, because in my water bath canner, it only fits 7 quart size jars to water bath. Now comes the fun experimenting time. This thing has little suction cups on the bottom so that it can just stick right here. Last year when I made my apple pie filling, I actually saved all of my cores and my peelings, and I made a apple simple syrup. I have about 6 pints of it left, so I might save a little bit of those peelings and cores just to make another small batch of the simple syrup. Simple syrup is super, super easy to do. You just actually put your cores in with a little bit of water, and you let that water boil for, I believe it's about an hour, and then after the hour you strain out all of the peelings and the cores, and then you add sugar in and you cook it until it's a nice syrup consistency, and then you can just water bath can it because it's pretty much all sugar. So we might do a little tiny batch of that. I know I've seen in the comments a couple of you guys have actually asked me about how to make this simple syrup. I think I did a video showing my strawberry top simple syrup, which is the exact same method you would do with the peelings. If I can find the video, I will leave it linked for you guys. It's such a good way to use up your fruit scraps, and you get a simple syrup out of it. And I think I've mentioned this on quite a bit of videos because I love that simple syrup. I use that simple syrup to make my water kefir, my kombucha, and then I also lately have been using like a plain sparkling water and just putting a little bit of the simple syrup in it, and it is such a good alternative to having like a pop or a soda. Let's see if I can figure out how to work this. It does come with a little manual. Maybe we better read this first just to figure out how to put the apple on. Push the base of the apple into here and then turn it. Oh my gosh, what is this? Look at how simple that is. Need to get it over here. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna try not to cut myself. Look at that. That's so perfect. Just said I'm not gonna try to cut myself, and I just cut myself. Back here. I love this thing. I love it. I love it. I love it. It is such a huge time saver. It is so awesome. What I'm going to do while I'm getting all of this box peeled is I am actually going to include a little clip here. I went and picked my Azure up yesterday from a friend, and I filmed it for you guys. So I'm going to include that clip in here and show you what we got. One of the things I actually ordered from Azure that I was waiting for to do this whole project is this apple juice. So I'll show you guys in that clip all of that stuff. So I'm gonna get this done and I will be right back with you once we get all of these peeled. All right, so we just went and got our Azure. I was out of town working this pickup time, so I actually had one of my friends pick up my stuff from the Azure drop for me. So it is a very, very small haul, and I don't have any like stuff that would need to be refrigerated because I knew she was picking it up on my behalf and it was not going to be able to be refrigerated, which is unfortunate because now I don't have my sour cream for this month or my cottage cheese, but that's okay, we will make do. So let's get started. I have a full case of this apple juice right here. This is by far our favorite apple juice, and it wasn't on sale this month, but we actually ran out. The next thing I bought was really, really interesting. So I decided to get some of this nail polish from Azure. Now on the website, it said it was like a matte, and I thought it was almost like a black, but this looks purple to me. So hopefully it doesn't go on super purple because I like to have like a darker color. And then I got this color also. You need to apparently put like a primer and stuff on it. So I bought this to go with it. It's just a primer, sealer, and a top coat. So I got all of these. I'm gonna give them a try. I really love wearing nail polish, but I hate the fact that it's just full of junk. So we'll give this one a try. Because we're going into cold and flu season, I thought I would order some lozenges. So this is just some lemon zinc ones. And I got 3 of them because I believe they were actually on sale this month. So that's why I picked them up. I want to be ahead of the game when it comes to getting sick. I don't want to have to worry about having to go to the store and pick up some lozenges that are not so good. So these ones look like they had really, really good ingredients in them. So we'll give them a try and see. Another thing that was on sale this month, and I'm so excited to finally get it. I've tried to order this the last 3 months, is some spaghetti. And this is a 5-pound bag of spaghetti. And then I also got a 5-pound bag of beets. Mine just didn't grow enough for me to preserve this year, so I bought this, and then I'll probably just end up canning these up. I planted a whole bunch of beets, but they just didn't come up. It was really, really dry, and honestly, I forgot to water them. So they didn't really germinate. So with these beets, I can just can this up. I am the only one that really eats beets. This 5-pound bag will be perfect just to kind of supplement what I've already was able to can at the beginning of the canning season. We were out of coffee filters, so I picked up 3 of these. These were actually a really, really good price for these coffee filters. This is how we brew our coffee. Well, I brew my tea in it and Steven brews his coffee in it, but it has this type of filter. So those are what we need for this system. I think I actually ended up getting this on Amazon, or I bought it at Walmart, or maybe Target. I think I actually got that at Target, and I got it like years and years ago. So it just takes these number 4 filters. And I actually looked for some unbleached filters at Walmart, and I couldn't find any. So I was glad that I got those ordered up. And then we just got a little 5-pound bag of, I believe these are russet potatoes. Yeah, these are russets. I do have a whole bunch of canned potatoes already in our pantry. And I love using the canned potatoes to make things like fried potatoes or roasted potatoes, but I have yet to master making mashed potatoes with the canned stuff. So I just got this 5-pound bag just so that I can make like the mashed potatoes with it when we want to have that. And then I got some more dish soap. I love, 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 love their dish soap. There's definitely a learning curve with using it though. It does not set up like the Dawn or those other kinds that you can get at the grocery store. It doesn't have that amount of suds with it, but it really, really works. And actually one trick that I have found with this dish soap, that it's a really, really cool trick. This stuff works amazing to get grease stains out of pants. Steven brushed up against our trailer hitch and he had just greased it down and he got grease all over his jeans. And I put a little bit of this dish soap on it and the stains came out right away. So I definitely recommend this. And they have all different types of scent. If you do not like scented stuff, like this is a lemon verberay, I usually get citrus, but they do have a fragrance-free one as well. And then speaking of my teas, they were actually on sale this month, so I decided to get a couple of them. I love this stuff. It tastes so, so good, and it is an excellent caffeine-free, like coffee-free alternative. So I got a vanilla nut, and then I got this one. Love, love, love these. I cannot recommend them enough. You can actually go to this company's website and they have a whole bunch of different flavors that Azure doesn't actually have. And they offer bigger bags of this, but I actually priced them out, and because Azure had them on sale this month, it was actually cheaper for me to get them from Azure Standard. But if you want like a wide variety of different flavors and different like herbs and mushrooms and stuff like that, I definitely recommend going to their website. Sometimes they do offer you like 20% off on their website. And if you do subscribe to like their emails, you do get like coupon offers all the time. So I am not sponsored by that company. I just really, really love their coffee, or their tea. Sorry, I call it coffee because I brew it in my coffee brewer over there. So it's tastes like coffee to me. And then the last thing that we got this month was just a 5-pound bag of pinto beans. I need to just kind of restock my pinto beans, so I just got a little 5-pound bag. I like to store my pinto beans in this little bucket. I think it's a 3-gallon bucket. I just take the stickers off of the package and just put them on the bucket, but this one is getting pretty low. When I have a lot of dried pinto beans, I actually like to can them. I love having my beans just canned up already. I know that if you have an Instapot, it is super quick to make dried beans, but sometimes I just want to have them right away. I don't want to have to worry about cooking them and soaking them and doing all that stuff. So I love to have my canned beans on my shelf. I'm actually getting ready to can some more chickpeas because I only have, I think, 4 pints left of those, and I have been making hummus a lot lately, so I need to can up more of those. That'll be a project coming up in the future. So that is it for the Azure haul. Let's get back to making that apple pie filling. We got 2 big bowls full of peeled apples. I definitely had a little bit of a learning curve with that peeler, but once I got it, it went so quickly. I love that thing. It definitely makes this task a lot easier. So what we need to do now is we need to get these cored and we need to get them sliced. So I'm gonna use this thing. It did come with it. See if it will help at least with the coring of it. Yep, takes the core off. But these slices are way too big, so let me get another knife. It doesn't get all the core and it wastes quite a bit of apple, like a whole bunch of apple on this. So I don't really want to use that. So I think I'm just gonna do them the old-fashioned way, just with my knife, and go pretty quick with this. And then I will just put the apple slices back into this lemon water. We just finished cutting all of these apples up. So I've decided to give the apple scraps and the peelings and stuff to the turkeys. I'm thinking that I probably should conserve my sugar a little bit right now, and that recipe requires a lot of sugar. This recipe that we're using today actually requires a lot of sugar also, but just the simple syrup is not like a necessity that I need to have on my shelf. So I'd rather just give the turkeys the scraps, let them enjoy it, gives them a little bit of extra food, supplements my feed bill a little bit, and then it just gives me one less project to do because I don't really need the simple syrup. I already have some on my shelf and I don't drink it a lot. So what we're doing now is we are just waiting for this really big pot of water to come to a boil. We need to blanch our apples for 1 minute, and then once we're done blanching them, we're gonna put them in this empty bowl and just kind of keep it covered just to keep them nice and warm. So I'm just waiting for this. Almost at a boil, just waiting for it to get to a boil, and then once that comes up, we'll put the apples in and do that, and then we get to move to the next step, which is kind of finally getting this all together. Alrighty, the water is boiling. Bring this bowl over here, and then we're going to add a whole bunch of apples in here and blanch them for 1 minute. Right, timer went off, so we just want to drain these really good and get them put into this bowl. It's okay if there's a little bit of water left over. Okay, those ones are done, so we're gonna get the next batch put through here, and then we're just gonna cover this up, cover this one with the cooked apples. We'll just put a towel over top of it. So we need 24 cups of these apples. So I just want to count it out before I get started on making the actual sauce that goes in it, like the sticky, yummy stuff. I want to make sure that we don't have to double this. Feeling like we have a lot more apples than 24 cups, but we'll just count them out and see. Well, that's 10 cups right there. So we might just have 24 cups. This is the reasoning why they suggest using the tart ones, because the apples hold up a little bit better. These ones are a super soft apple, and they are like really mushy, where these ones, which I'm pretty sure are a Jonathan, they are holding up really well. So if you can possibly use the ones that this recipe actually recommends, because they'll hold together and not kind of get mushy, and like in here you can see they're kind of all breaking apart. I counted them all, and we have 34 cups of chopped apples in here. So I'm just gonna have to make a little extra sauce for it, but that's perfectly fine. We need to get a lot of sugar into this stock pot. This recipe calls for 5.5 cups of sugar. So because we have an extra 10 cups of apples, I'm going to add an extra 2 cups of sugar into this. This is my 5-gallon bucket of sugar. Just use the Gamma lids, it keeps them good and sealed. I have that really large pot that we just boiled those in. I cleaned it out, and that is where we're gonna add our sugar into. What did I say, 7.5 cups? Let's just go to 8 cups, because then that's kind of even across the board. So we're gonna add 8 cups of sugar into this. This recipe calls for 1.5 cups of clear gel or cornstarch. Now I don't can with cornstarch because certain agencies say that it is actually not safe to can with cornstarch. From what I have read, the reasoning why it is not safe to can with cornstarch is because it does not allow the heat to penetrate into the product enough to make it safe to can. So I normally use clear gel, but clear gel isn't available at my local Amish, which is where I get most of my canning stuff other than Azure. So I'm gonna use some Thermoflow, which is the exact same thing as a clear gel. So if you feel comfortable, then you can definitely can using cornstarch. It is your home, your rules. I just choose to use either a clear gel or a thermogel in this. So it calls for 1.5 cups. So I'm gonna add 2 cups of this into the pot where the sugar is. And this is gonna be our thickening agent. And next up, we're gonna add our spices. Now, I'm trying to remember what spices I used last year. I feel like I used a pumpkin pie spice in it. I think I did. The recipe calls to use 1 tablespoon of cinnamon and 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. It says the nutmeg is optional in it. So I think what I'm gonna do, what did I use an apple pie spice? I feel like I used a special spice blend, and now I can't remember what I used. Probably should go back and watch that video. It probably would tell me. All right, I think we're just gonna use the pumpkin pie spice in that because I'm feeling like that's what I did last year and it tasted really, really good. So we're gonna add 1.5 tablespoons of this pumpkin pie seasoning. Next up, we have to add our apple juice and water, depending on what you're using. So the recipe's guidelines are to use 2.5 cups of cold water. It says you can add apple juice if you want more flavoring, which we're gonna do, and then another 5 cups of actual apple juice. So we're gonna do 7.5 cups of apple juice. And again, I'm just using this amazing stuff from Azure. Actually, we'll have to add a little bit more because we've upped all of the ingredients. So figure out what we need to do. So that's 4, there's 7.5. So we will add, maybe we'll do another 1.5 cups. Just went a little bit over 1.5 cups. It's about 1 3/4 cups. Okay, and then we'll get this turned on to a medium heat. We're gonna get this stirred together. So you wanna cook this over a medium-high heat, stirring continuously until the mixture thickens and begins to boil. So we will come back once this mixture gets to a boil. This has substantially thickened up. You see how it's just like not coming off? So we're gonna add in our apples now. I'm just gonna turn the heat down really low. I'm debating whether I should put some more apple juice in this because it's really, really thick. But I think it'll be fine because we have a little bit of moisture in with these apples. So we're gonna add the apples in, and it just says to fold them in. These apples are still really hot. We're making baked apples on the stove top at this point. Try to get this cleaned up. Get these all folded in. I had to get my really big spoon out because this is such a big pot. I wanted to make sure that I was getting everything from the bottom. I tasted a little bit of the filling, and it is delicious. So good. I definitely did use pumpkin pie spice last time I made it. It just is, it levels it up. I would definitely try it. So I'm just making sure that all of these apples are completely coated with this filling because we're gonna put it into our jars next. Last year I did not make sure it was evenly distributed throughout this, and then I had some jars that had a whole bunch of filling in it and some jars that just had a whole bunch of apples. So I want to make sure I'm getting everything evenly coated this time. Oh, and if you haven't noticed, I have taken it off of the heat. It doesn't need to be on the heat anymore once it comes to a boil. I think that's good. Everything looks evenly coated. So what we're gonna do now is we have 1 cup of lemon juice. I'm just using the stuff, just canned lemon juice. And the recipe calls for 3/4 cups, but because we're have a little bit more apples in here, we're gonna add a little bit more lemon juice. So we'll just get this also stirred into here. Okay, let's get these jars out of here. Right, we are gonna get these filled up to 1-inch headspace. Based on how many apples we have in here, we're gonna need to get another canner out. So I'm gonna go grab my pressure canner. We can use this as a water bath canner also. Just have to take off this valve and then let's get it filled up with water. Okay, so I filled this up with water and then I added 7 more quart jars in here. So turned it on high heat. So we're gonna get these jars hot and get that water hot. In the meantime, we will finish jarring up our apple pie filling. The other thing you wanna do is you wanna come in and kind of debubble, get all little air bubbles that are trapped in here, and then readjust the headspace if need be. Oh, you know what? I remember this from last year because it does expand. And if you fill it to the 1-inch headspace, it actually causes siphoning. I remember that from last year. So we're gonna fill it up to about, I would say here. You want to leave room for expansion. If you fill it too full, you are going to get siphoning and then you are gonna get apple pie filling everywhere. So do not fill it up too full. I think it was like 1.5 or 2 inches of headspace I had to leave. I really probably should have referenced that video. We have them all filled. So now what we're gonna do is with a clean rag or washcloth or paper towel, we're gonna make sure that these tops are really, really, really clean. We're gonna get our lids on and our rings to fingertip tight. Then we are gonna get these put into our water bath canner. You wanna make sure that there is at least 1 inch of water covering the jars, and then you are going to put your lid on. And then once that gets to a full rolling boil, we're gonna set the timer for 25 minutes. The recipe states that regardless whether you're using pints or quarts, it's gonna be 25 minutes to water bath can these if you are below 1,000-foot elevation, or 1,000 feet, sorry, elevation. The higher up in elevation you go, the longer you're gonna have to water bath can that for, but do your research when it comes to your elevation. That way you'll know how long to can them for. So I'm gonna get these canning and then we'll come back once they're all done. And then once these get warm, we'll fill these jars and then get those onto the pantry shelf. Canning apple pie filling is a really, really super, super easy thing to do, and it is so versatile. Like, you can use it in a lot of things. In fact, for dessert tonight, I'm gonna use some of this pie filling and then I'm gonna put like an apple crisp topping on top of it. So it's gonna be like a crustless pie essentially. You know what? I think I'm actually gonna film that for you and show you guys. So I will include that clip right here for you and show you how I make it. To make the crisp topping, you're gonna take 1 stick of butter or 1/2 cup of really, really cold butter. You do not want this to be room temperature at all. And you're just gonna cut it up into little pieces. And I eyeball this recipe because I just kind of know how I like everything to be. So I'll give you the approximate measurements. So you're gonna use about 1/2 cup of a light brown sugar. Now, my camera died and I did not get to show you the measurements of everything else. But in this bowl, I have approximately 1/4 cup of some old-fashioned rolled oats. You can definitely use quick oats as well, whatever you have available. And then you used about 1/2 cup of an unbleached organic all-purpose flour. And then I added about 1 to 2 teaspoons of that pumpkin pie seasoning that we used in the apple pie filling. And then I put that cold butter into here, and I'm just using my pastry blender and just kind of getting it mixed in. You really just want that butter to be be broken up into small little pieces throughout this topping. Once you get everything mixed together, you are going to get a 9-inch cake pan. I'm just using my Pyrex one here. I like to use the cake pans because I like to have a lot of filling on the bottom, and I find that the cake pan I can kind of fit more in it. So I am going to use probably about a quart size worth of filling in this. Just make sure the filling is kind of nice and flat, and then you're going to put the apple crisp topping on top of it, and you just want to make sure that every little piece kind of has that coating in it. Now this pie filling will bubble up, which makes this delicious caramel taste, but you just want to kind of make sure you have everything evenly coated with that filling. So I have my oven preheated to 375, so we're going to put it in there and we're going to cook it for approximately 45 minutes. You may, depending on your oven, need to cook it less than me, but 45 minutes is a good time for me, and this is what it looks like coming out. Look at all that yummy stuff oozing out the side. So good. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That is going to be it for today. Thank you so much for coming along with me and canning with me. I love doing these canning projects with you guys. In fact, I look forward to turning the camera on when I have a canning project to do because it gives me somebody to talk to while I'm canning. Even though it's just a camera on my end, I love having you guys on the other end. So thanks guys so much, and I hope you have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys.